Hi everyone, thank you for joining today's session. My name is Milan Tanawala, and today what I'm going to be talking about is data modernization or database modernization and how you as our AWS consulting partner can take advantage of that and how it can help you grow your business. So what I'm going to be talking about today are a few things. One is I'm going to talk to you about the trends that we within AWS are seeing and what we're finding from our customers as to the migration paths that they're taking as they move their workloads to the cloud. And then I'm going to be talking about two specific sales plays to help you take advantage of some of these opportunities that we are seeing our customers take up on. And then finally, I'll talk a bit about AWS programs and best practices that can help you, again, our AWS partner, to take advantage of that and see how you can help us grow our business together. So some of the trends that we are seeing, there's actually three different things that we are seeing. The first, as you probably already know, is that there's been a huge explosion of data that has been happening. That obviously includes a lot of data that is coming from mobile phones, social media, but also the pace from traditional transactional systems has also been pretty fairly good. So what that means and what we are seeing is that the rate of data growth is the data is growing by about 60% year over year. So in about 5 years, the total data that is going to be put out is going to be 10 times what we see today. So that means you want to be working with someone, some company that can help you and your customers harness that entire power of the data. The second thing that we are seeing is that as the development teams get more disparate and more dispersed, a lot of these teams are taking on specific areas that they want to focus in on, and they want to be developing specific services that they can then stitch together as a complete team. So this is what we call a microservices architecture. And what that means is that all of these different disparate and diverse set of developers want to be using the best tool possible. And the third trend that we are seeing is that these development teams need a lot of automation, and they want to be working with the IT organization in a very seamless manner so that they can do rapid development. So these are the three broad trends that we are seeing. And what that means is that this is causing a lot of the application developers as well as the enterprises that have their own set of applications to migrate to the cloud because they want to be taking advantage of all of these different trends that they're seeing and the different kinds of systems that are only available in the cloud. And what Gartner is saying is that in the next 12 to 18 months, 75% of all the databases will be migrated to the cloud. So just think about that for a minute. In the next 12 to 18 months, all of the database systems, that includes the ones that are on premises today, as well as the ones that are in some other kind of a system, all of that is going to move to the cloud by 2022. And if that is not all, the existing market is also pretty large. So if you just look at today's market, it's about a $62 billion market, and that's just going to grow even more. So 75% of that moving to the cloud in the next 12 to 18 months means that for you as a partner, there is a significant opportunity for you to be able to grow your business with this. So why are these migrating to the cloud, and how is it that AWS can help you, and how does AWS differentiate itself from some of the other cloud vendors? So three things. One, I mentioned automation, and automation is huge because as developers try to build these applications, they want to be spending less time on doing what we call the undifferentiated heavy lifting. So developers don't want to be spending time on doing mundane things like managing the infrastructure. They really want to be spending more time innovating. And the second thing that we're seeing is that AWS offers a whole breadth of database services as well as other services to take advantage of all the application needs that a developer or an application vendor might need. And finally, the cost. With the innovation that we've done, the enterprises and users of the application only pay for what they actually consume. So you're not paying for the all of the infrastructure upfront. You're just paying as you consume. So these are the reasons why we see a lot of customers move to AWS. And what we've seen is just in the last a few years, over 300,000 databases have already migrated to AWS. And the pace of migration is accelerating, in fact. And so here you'll see on the slide a number of customers in every major industry across geography that has migrated their database to AWS. So now that we've talked a bit about the trends that we're seeing and why databases migrate to the cloud and to AWS, what are some of the common paths that our customers take, and how can you benefit from that, and how can you take advantage of some of these trends that we are seeing? So very broadly, we're seeing three distinct paths that customers take. The first is just an easy lift and shift. So customers want to get out of their existing environments because they have a impending event, maybe the data center closure or whatever, and they just want to be able to take that workload and move that to the cloud. So this helps you get to the cloud very quickly, but there are certainly downsides. So one is that you still have a vendor lock-in, and you're still on the same old legacy databases that you wanted to sort of get rid of. And as you can see from the chart, as you move from left to right, the scale, the performance, and the innovation increases. And as you go on the chart from bottom to top, you also see lower cost and save time for you as or for your customer. And so there are two distinct paths that I'm going to be talking about next. One is the migration, which is the move to managed, and the second one is the break free. So let's talk about each one of them in more detail. So let's talk a bit about the move to managed and what exactly do we mean by that. So I talked a bit about how today you need to, if you're an on-premises or your customer is an on-premises customer, that you need to have a lot of investment in existing infrastructure, and you have to do a lot of undifferentiated heavy lifting. And what we mean by that is that you have to be doing a lot of provisioning of different hardware and software systems. You have to do capacity planning, you have to do your patching, and you have to do your configuration. When you move to the cloud, when you do a lift and shift, it helps you somewhat. It helps you in some of the basic things like operating system installations and having to move away from things like server maintenance. But there's still a lot of things that you or your customer as a developer need to be doing. And when you move to a managed environment on AWS, you can now focus your attention completely on higher order bits like how to do query optimization or how to construct your schema so that it's much more optimal for your application needs. And a lot of the things that you sort of used to worry about, like scaling your environment for peak loads and worrying about intermittent spikes, you don't have to be doing any of that anymore. So the move to managed is, according to us, the easiest and direct path to going from your legacy environment on premises to the cloud. And whether you're running open source databases or you're running commercial databases, we have a way for you to take advantage of that. So what we are finding from our customers is that if they have Oracle or they'll have SQL Server, they can easily move that to a relational database service that is managed by AWS, what we call Amazon RDS, as well as any of the open source databases that you or your customer may be using. So whether it's MySQL, Postgres, or MariaDB, you can now use that and move those databases over onto Amazon RDS. But also, if you're running any of these open source databases like MySQL or Postgres, you can also move them to another database called Amazon Aurora that also gives you compatibility with your existing environment. So how do you as a partner find these kind of opportunities, and how can you, as you talk to customers, make sure that they are looking at this option and that you can harness this as an additional source of revenue for yourself? So some of the questions you want to make sure that you're asking your customers is, do they want to reduce their database administrative cost? And do they want to move away from self-managing their database, whether they're doing it on-premise or on another cloud, or even if they're running it on Amazon EC2? If they want to move away from some of those managing their databases themselves, then this path may be a good approach. And this is a good approach for customers who don't want to re-architect their applications, but just need a simple path to a managed service and managing their workloads in the cloud. So let me talk about a customer example that'll sort of hopefully bring it all together. So Kaplan, and this is a partner case study that one of our partners like yourself helped us, help the customer. So Kaplan is a US-based company, and they what they do is they provide online student training for things like university preparation, as well as standardized test preparation. And they had about 12 different data centers. And what they were finding is that their data centers had a lot of outages that caused their customers to have outages. And they had to worry about the hardware being end of life. And so they wanted a way to sort of not manage all of those environments. And they looked at Amazon RDS, and they were able to migrate their existing Oracle as well as SQL Server instances from on-premises, or in this case, a data center, and move them over to AWS. But not only that, they were able to reduce their footprint from 12 data centers to 4. And what they did not realize is, as you can see from the quote, is that there was an additional benefit that they had not sort of thought about, which is that you also got standardization across all of these environments. So that's something to also talk to your customers about, is if they're looking to have a standard environment where they don't have to manage any of these bits, then maybe the move to managed path that I talked about may be a good option for them. So now let me talk a bit about the third path, which is the break free from legacy databases. So the challenges with the existing commercial databases is that they are monolithic, like I said, and if you or your customers have an environment that requires very diverse team to take advantage of the workloads, or they need workloads that can scale, they're finding that this one-size-fits-all does not really work for them. And in addition, the commercial databases are proving to be extremely costly as they grow, as well as they lock you in, and they're very proprietary. And a lot of your customers may already be receiving emails from these commercial database vendors and forcing them into punitive licensing and additional revenues that the customer has to put out now because of these onerous licenses. So that's why we're finding that customers are moving to open source databases. And what we're finding is that customers like the simplicity, the flexibility, and the freedom they get with the open source databases. but they are unable to get the commercial grade performance and reliability that they've come to expect from commercial databases. So that's why what we're finding is that Amazon Aurora is a good solution for our customers in this situation, because what it does is it is MySQL and PostgreSQL compatible. So you get all of the benefits of the open source databases in terms of flexibility, freedom, as at a tenth of the cost of commercial databases. But not only that, you also get a lot of additional benefits like security. Amazon Aurora is secure by default, whether it's whether the data is in transit or at rest, and it provides you with network isolation. But it also provides you with the performance that you expect from a commercial database. So if you're running MySQL, Aurora can give you 5x the performance of your on-premises MySQL database, or 3 times the performance of your PostgreSQL. But not only that, in terms of performance, but it also gives you the ability to do backups without you or your customers having to do anything. So you get automatic backups to S3, you get automatic scaling as the requirements go up. The database automatically scales up or scales down, so that again you're only paying for the amount that you're consuming. And finally, as I described earlier, it's completely managed. So you don't have to, or your customers don't have to worry about the lower order bits. They don't have to worry about provisioning. They don't have to worry about any of the other things that don't add value to them. So how can you as a partner target customers for these break-free opportunities? So here are some of the questions that you want to be asking your customers. One is, are they running commercial databases like Oracle or SQL Server on premises? And secondly, do they already have an open source strategy that they want to be sort of moving forward with? And the other thing that you want to inquire is that, do they have a contract expiry coming up, which could be an event that could trigger the customer to move from their existing on-premises commercial databases onto Aurora? And finally, ask them if they are looking for improved agility, flexibility, as well as a significant reduction in their database cost. So if all of those things happen to be true, or even some of them, then you probably found yourself a customer that can break free from their legacy environments and move to Aurora. So I'll give you another example of a customer, Samsung in this case. You probably heard the name Samsung. They are the second largest IT company in the world in terms of revenue. They're also the largest makers of mobile phone and other electronic components. They were using Oracle database for their on-premises legacy application, and they wanted to move away from that and make it available to all of their users worldwide. So they were looking for a database that was flexible enough and that could grow and not be as costly as their existing environment. So they looked at Aurora, and they were able to migrate all of that, their application, in a very short amount of time. And the benefit to them was that they were able to reduce their monthly cost by 44%. It's not a yearly cost. This is a monthly cost that they were able to reduce by 44%. So that's a significant amount of savings for them. So now that I've talked to you about the AWS databases, some of the trends that we are seeing, and why customers are migrating to AWS, and how you as our partner can take advantage of that, let me tell you a bit about some of the other best practices and programs that we have available to you as our partner that you can take advantage of as you talk to your customers about this migration opportunities. So as a customer moves from their legacy on-premises environment to a fully managed cloud environment, they typically go through 3 phases. And as a consulting partner, you're already very familiar with this process. In the beginning, you have the assess phase where the customer does or you do a discovery of their existing environment. And here's where AWS can help you. We have something called a migration readiness assessment tool that can augment your existing discovery tools that you may have. And we also have tools that can help you do total cost of ownership analysis that can again augment some things that you may already have. After the assess phase, you typically move into a mobilize phase. By that we mean the customer wants to engage in a POC or a pilot, and this is where we can also help you through things like technical workshops for you and your customers, as well as making sure that we are able to help you reduce any customer friction through things like funding mechanisms for qualified opportunities. And finally, when it comes to actual migration, we can help you as a consulting partner in a number of ways. We can certainly help you, again, in terms of technical resources and making sure that the final solution is optimized for the cloud. But at the same time, we can help fund some of those and reduce the customer friction here as well. So some of the tools we have available for you as a consulting partner, again, to help some of the accelerators that you may already have, we have 2 tools that you may, again, be familiar with. One is called a data migration service, which allows the customer to go from like-to-like database, meaning if they're going from, let's say, Oracle to Oracle, or like to a different database. So you could be moving from Oracle to an Aurora database. In both of those situations, what we call either a homogeneous migration or a heterogeneous migration, the database migration service can help you and help your customers. The other tool that we have is something called a schema conversion tool, where you can take your schema and your code objects from your existing database and move them over to the target database in this situation. And if you are not already familiar with, or you have members of the team that are new to some of these technologies, we have online self-paced learnings that your team can go through and take advantage of. So not only do we have the ability for your team members to take on these trainings at their own pace, but if you do require it, we also have an online form where you can request assistance from us, and we can do a one-on-one deep dive training for you on this specific, any of these things that I talked about. So we have deep dive training available, for example, on RDS or on Aurora or any of the other databases that we have available. And if you really want to differentiate yourself from your competition and want to talk to the customers about some of your technical skill sets that you have available, then I would encourage you to consider signing up for a competency program. What this does is it not only gives you that badge that you are well versed in AWS technologies, but it also unlocks additional benefits for you. So it unlocks things like additional market development funds for you, as well as we can provide you with some go-to-market support. So we have a competency in a number of different segments. Definitely look at data and analytics competency, as well as migration competency. So if you're not already part of this program, do consider being part of it. And if you want to showcase to your customers, again, about some of the technical prowess that your team has around specific AWS services, we have something called the AWS Service Delivery Program. What that does is it allows you to show your customers that you not only have the skill set around AWS specific services, but that AWS has certified that for you as well. And again, there's some additional benefits that accrue to you as part of this service delivery program, things like additional marketing support, but also we provide you with service-specific roadmaps ahead of time. So that's, again, some of the benefits that you can accrue as a partner. So to bring all of these various programs together, we have something called the Migration Acceleration Program, and that has 6 pillars. So when we go to customers and talk about the entire journey, we talk about it in this framework of this program called Migration Acceleration Program. And some of the pillars I already talked about. I talked about the migration methodology. I talked about some of the tools we have available and some of the training we have available. But there's additional things like the partners, you and your organization, as well as ProServe, that can help and augment your resources or help you with specific deep dive technology assistance that you may not have. And obviously, the final component is investment that AWS makes to help reduce customer friction through some funding mechanisms we have, either through credits to your customer or to actual cash to you as a partner. So what we learned about, or what I talked about in this session, were 3 things. I talked about some of the database trends that we are seeing. I talked about some of the opportunities that you as a partner can take advantage of through the 2 sales plays, the move to managed and the break free, and also talked about the various programs and other assistance that we can be providing to you as a partner. So in closing, I have 3 calls to action for you. One is certainly learn more about our AWS database services that you may already not be familiar with. And secondly, join some of these programs that I talked about. If you're not a member of the competency program or the service delivery program, certainly consider that. And finally, I would encourage you to identify 3 opportunities in the next 30 days around break free as well as move to manage. And if you have any questions on any of what we talked about, here's an email that you can send your questions to, and we'd be more than happy to assist you, our partner, in your journey forward. So with that, I do thank you for your time, and I hope that this has been useful to you. And again, please reach out to us if you need any assistance, and feel free to submit any requests that you might have, and to complete the survey at the end. Thank you so much for your time today.